Welcome to the new episode of the Samong Dong video podcast. We hope you stay with us until the end, and if you enjoy our podcast, please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel. From the mysterious suicide and the 2 billion won backpack, to the secrets of serial killings and the blue orchid, the screenplay of Little Women is so detail-oriented and intricate that if we were to write a summary, we'd have to be writing for a really long time. But has the outcome of this eventful screenplay been chaos, or has the writer managed to overcome this difficult task? Perhaps it'd be better to review the concept of the plot before we answer this question. Plot refers to the arrangement of story events alongside each other, or the parts of the story that a writer shows us and their sequence. Some films and TV shows are based on a single main storyline. For example, if the writer had only shown us the pursuit of money by Oh In-joo and focused solely on this part of the story, the narrative of Little Women would have been a single plot narrative. However, there are other works whose narrative structure has a subplot arrangement, and Little Women falls into this category. For this reason, we not only follow the story of In-joo after the suicide of her friend Hwa-young, but we also simultaneously have multiple narrative threads involving other characters like In-kyung, In-ae, and even the backstory of the Vietnam War and the mystery of the Blue Orchid. But a writer has used this subplot structure in a way that instead of simply expanding the sideline of the story, these subplots have extended the length of the screenplay. This means that these sub-narratives serve the characterization and world building for a different story. Rather, each of them has a specific role in advancing the main story. So if we remove any of the characters, we won't reach the final point of our story, which is the revelation of the mysteries. So far, the multi-plot nature of the screenplay hasn't led to any confusions in the series, and everything we see plays an important role in the storytelling. But this is not the end of the story.
무슨 일이에요?
누군가 날 봤대요. 나랑 똑같은 사람. 화영 언니 아니면 누구겠어요? 싱가포르에 사는 오인주.
The series begins with a familiar and simple situation. It starts with the suspicious suicide of Hwa-young, which leads to a sum of money coming to our story's protagonist. A protagonist who, along with her 2 younger sisters, is facing financial difficulties and, in the desire for a better life, decides to use the money. At the same time, In-kyung, as a reporter, is dealing with a murder case and has decided to uncover the secrets behind it by any means necessary. And In-ae, the younger sister of In-joo and In-kyung, has decided to separate herself from them and live with the wealthy conglomerate family of Park Ja-sung, who is running for election. But she ends up in the hospital due to a heart condition. And the second major turning point in the story occurs after the first turning point and Hwa-young's suicide in episode 4 when In-ae is hospitalized. This turning point connects the characters and storylines together, and with the revelation that the 70 billion won, the Park family's wealth, has been stolen by Hwa-young and transferred to In-joo's name, the series takes a step forward. Afterwards, In-joo decides to get close to this family to take care of In-ae, but with the murder of her aunt, who had a suspicious relationship with the Park family, she once again decides to uncover the murders that are happening together with In-kyung. Now that the story has reached its halfway point, we are no longer faced with a simple narrative and everything has become complicated. Our perspective is no longer focused solely on money, murder, or the relationship between the 3 sisters. All the storylines have intertwined and the relationships have become much more complex than what we had initially seen. However, the appropriate introduction by the writer has allowed us to be prepared for such change through proper character development and coding. So the second half of the series takes a turn with Inju going to Singapore to find the 70 billion won. This event leads the series to its third knot and takes it one step further. Everything has been a performance, orchestrated by Won Sung-ga, Park Jae-sung's wife. So the series once again makes everything even more complicated than what it had shown us, even creating the hypothesis of Hwa-young still being alive. The result of this major twist is the elimination of all our assumptions. Therefore, before reaching a conclusion, connecting the events to each other, paying attention to the motivations of each character, and predicting the ending have become extremely challenging tasks, and even traces of illusion and imagination have been added to the story. However, up until this point in the story and the end of the 8th episode, the series has progressed with a consistent rhythm. Despite its complexities, it has narrated the story without directly explaining things or disrupting the flow with its twists. The information pieces that are gradually shown and the plot twists that are shown from time to time have made the story unpredictable. Therefore, besides properly paying attention to the story, the series has also succeeded in the way it narrates it. In the main plotline, other situations such as the murder of manager Shin in the 2nd episode, the prominence of Choi Doi's role in the continuation, and the hints of Jongran's society have contributed to a more complete narration. But the big problem with the series begins from this point onward. In the final third of the narrative, the writer attempts to provide answers to the questions that had been previously raised throughout the series. However, this is done mostly through dialogue between the characters without events unfolding within the story. While it provides explanation for the story's logic and the characters' motivations, the how and narrative style are lost compared to the previous parts. This is something we also saw in the conclusion of the series Mouse, and unfortunately, it is not a new script issue. Yet again, this emphasizes on the importance of a good ending. It can be said that the killing of Park Jae-sung, the arrest of Inju, the return of Hwa-young, the secret behind Jongran society, and everything we see in the final episodes happen without giving us an opportunity to think and concentrate, and their underlying logic is explained to us. In other words, we had barely to no show and tell from this point onward. So, no matter how well balanced the screenplay was about the narration, character development, and surprises in the first 2/3 of the series, the final third of the series is filled with thrilling situations and straightforward answers. This issue prevents little women in the screenplay department from performing as successfully as in the directing and execution. We appreciate you being with us for another episode, and we hope you have enjoyed our podcast. Stay tuned for our next episode and recap. Goodbye!